without further ado, it's my absolute honor to introduce Will Larkins, activist, organizer, high school student, artist, fashion icon. And then I'll let Will take it away for the rest.
Thank you so much, Christina. Go for it. So how are y'all? I'm doing great. I'm chilling. Oh my god, that's me.
Do you want to just click through as you go?
Yeah, I got you. Should I? Okay, yeah. Hi. So before I start, I wanted to give a quick thank you to those who invited me here, Mike and Kathleen. I'm so blessed to be able to sort of share my story and to be given this platform. And thank you to Christine over here who introduced me for one, that fantastic introduction, but two, helping me through the process of not just writing the speech, but sort of figuring out like how this is all gonna go, you know, calming my nerves, all of that fun stuff. Giving Gen Z a space to build each other up and have these conversations is vital to the future of our country and our planet. My name is Will Larkins. I'm a 17-year-old junior at Winter Park High School in Orlando, Florida, and I'm gay and non-binary. You may know me from some of the recent advocacy work I've done. I'm the co-founder and president of my school's Queer Student Union, where we work to protect and empower queer students at our school, but also all across Florida. Oh, I did not mean to click that, that's okay. Cool, thank you so much. Okay, cool. I testified in opposition of the Don't Say Gay bill in front of Florida's Senate Appropriations Committee. I gave a now viral presentation on the Stonewall Uprising when I found out that my history teacher was unaware of the event. And I wrote an essay about how the Don't Say Gay bill would affect teens like me, which was published in the New York Times. And I was one of the lead organizers of my school's Say Gay Anyway walkout and protest. Over the past 2 months, I've been all over the news because of my advocacy work. I even made it on Ariana Grande's Instagram story, which is absurd. And now I'm giving the keynote speech at a Harvard Law School Youth Summit, which is also absurd. Oh, sorry. While I currently live in Central Florida, I grew up in sunny Southern California. I was born and raised in Costa Mesa, going to a private, hippie, Waldorf-style school. Before kindergarten, it was very obvious to those around me that I wasn't like other boys. In first grade, I decided that I wanted to be Selena Gomez for Halloween. Not for Halloween, when I grew up. I wanted to be Selena Gomez when I grew up, and then in second grade, I dressed as the color pink for Halloween. Second grade is also when I started to speak out about what mattered to me. In this case, it was getting everyone at my school to sign a petition that I made out of construction paper with the goal of getting rid of a very disgusting lunch we had at our school, which was like some horrible cheese burrito. I'm very lucky in that I've always been surrounded by very supportive people. I've never had to worry about being reprimanded or kicked out for being queer. And for the most part, my parents let me express myself. The main struggle of my childhood was the lack of education on my own identity. I didn't know why I was the way that I was, and it was scary. When you're young and your perspective of the world is just what you see, it's hard not to feel like an outcast when you're the only feminine boy. By fourth grade, I believed there was something wrong with me. I had convinced myself and genuinely believed that I was broken. Fifth grade is the year that I first started calling myself an activist. It was all because of my teacher, Miss Nikta. She organized a fundraiser to help Syrian refugees. And when I learned about the injustices that these refugees were facing in Europe and in the Middle East. 10-year-old me became very passionate about wanting to help the situation. My school ended up raising $2,000, and I contributed about 500 of those. That year, we learned about the climate and about plastic pollution. We visited the Pacific Marine Mammal Center, and I went to numerous beach cleanups, and I volunteered there. I also became a vegan, like a part of Greenpeace and PETA, mad at you if you're not vegan type of vegan. So that's fun. 5th grade wasn't just the year that I first started being an activist. It's also the year that playground meanness became actual homophobia. On an overnight camping trip to Astro Camp, I walked into the boys' locker room to shower and change, and one of my classmates said, "Will's coming, everyone hide." And every one of my classmates ran screaming and hid. 6th grade was the first year that I was called the F slur. I never really knew why people treated me the way that they did, but it still hurt a lot. Then over summer, before 7th grade, I went to a summer camp, and a girl explained the LGBTQ community to me. This was a big moment for me. I finally knew there was a whole community of people who fell outside of the gender binary just like me. And I now understood why people were mean to me. It was tough, but important to learn that I was never going to change and that it wasn't just a phase. It was not an easy process to unlearn the self-hate that I'd grown up with, but I did it. And as I got older, the bullying and harassment did not stop. It got much, much worse. When I was in middle school, a group of boys used to follow me when I walked home, shouting slurs at me and telling me to kill myself. On many occasions, while I'm walking alone in my neighborhood, I've had cars pull up next to me, usually full of teenage boys, catcall me saying, "What are you wearing? What are you supposed to be?" And the simple but effective, "You're a fucking faggot." And, it's really scary. When I turned 14, I started to learn how to use social media to spread important messaging. I spent my freshman year of high school becoming Twitter famous for being involved with beauty guru drama. That experience taught me an invaluable lesson at a very young age: which types of communication work and which types don't. Through trial and error, I taught myself how to reach a large audience and fight for what's right in a positive and constructive way. James Charles, Lorraine, the official Oreo cookie Twitter account, and Shane Dawson followed me, amongst others. I spent a lot of my time exposing Jeffree Star's racism, and he even dragged me once, calling me pathetic and disgusting, among other things. And while that was terrifying for 15-year-old me, it taught me to not care about the hate, listen to constructive feedback, and ignore the blatant hatred. Now, 3 years later, it's my junior year in high school, and I've used social media to reach thousands. I took the skills and knowledge that I gained fighting beauty gurus to build a platform to help people understand the modern non-binary experience. My platform even reached the editors of the New York Times. They sent me a message telling me they thought my story was something worth sharing and asked me to write an op-ed. So I did, and it was published. And afterwards, I got hundreds, if not thousands, of messages from people telling me that seeing my story amplified gave them the hope that they desperately needed because they related so heavily to what I went through. It's been one of the hardest years of my life in regards to discrimination and harassment and hate. I have multiple friends whose parents have banned me from their house and banned me from seeing them simply because my existence goes against their religion. Guys have pretended to flirt with me and have asked me out as a joke more times than I can count. I've had people threaten me in bathrooms, make jokes about being homophobic, and literally post videos of me existing at school with captions such as, "I didn't know this faggot actually existed." That's a real video that people were reposting, and it was just me walking through the cafeteria. I reported everything that I experienced, and almost nothing ever happened. Oh, I totally forgot to go through my slides. Click through them, yeah. It's me testifying in front of the Senate. That's me as a little kid. Yeah, very clear to everyone. That's my current Twitter account, hi. And, okay, we're gonna get there. So, I reported everything that I experienced and almost nothing ever happened. In the beginning of October, I met a guy that I really liked, like really, really liked, and it was going great until his dad got a hint that he was queer and told him, if I find out you're a fucking faggot, I'm gonna beat you and your fucking faggot boyfriend to death. So we had to break up out of safety. I was heartbroken, not because I got cheated on or dumped, but because society hated me and my community that much. At the end of October, I went to a Halloween party with a group of close friends. This was October 2021. Within 10 minutes, I had a group of guys from my school surrounding me, telling me to fuck kids and fuck animals, calling me slurs. One even came out of the group and told me that if we didn't leave, we would be beat up. I posted a video of the incident on Instagram, and my school called my parents to let them know that I was putting those same kids in danger by posting a video of them harassing me. About 3 days after the party, it hit me, and I fell into probably the deepest depression I'd ever been in. I seriously considered ending my life. During lunch that week, I went to my English teacher's classroom and broke down crying. People have hated me for as long as I can remember, and it still doesn't make sense. Why does the world hate me? I asked. She responded by telling me similar stories from when she was my age being queer, and the difference was her family didn't accept her. But she made it through, and now she's here protecting kids just like me and just like she was, and getting them through similar horrible situations. This conversation opened up a light at the end of the tunnel for me. Over the winter, my mental health got much, much worse before it got better, but no matter what happened, no matter how dim the light got, it never completely faded. This conversation inspired me and my friend Sawyer, who was also at the Halloween party, to start our school's queer student union. I realized that if this stuff was happening to me, it was happening to every queer person at my school. The difference was I had the ability to speak out about it, and I wouldn't be in danger for speaking out about it. The internalized self-hate, the fear of being put in danger, and the day-to-day harassment is why queer teens are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than their straight counterparts. Our rates of drug abuse, self-harm, mental illness, homelessness, and bullying are frighteningly high. I myself fall into many of those statistics. Starting the Queer Student Union before winter break was one of the best decisions that I ever made. Before the break, we had one meeting, and the structure was simple. A classroom discussion. What discrimination and what homophobia have you faced at this school? What I discovered was horrifying. My story was far from the worst in the room. And every single queer person who was there, and this was 40 plus, had all experienced some form of hatred. Every single person was also traumatized for things that have happened for them for being queer, whether that was being outed or kicked out of their home. There were multiple people in there who were living in homeless shelters at 16, 17, or 18. I really don't think I would have made it through winter break if I didn't know that I had to in order to help other people afterwards. When I got back to school, I was on a goal. I had a goal. I was on a mission to work on the school, make it better for other queer people. And that's when Senator Dennis Baxley filed House Bill 1557, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill. I scrapped the plan that I had for the club and turned the focus towards teaching kids and educating them on how to fight the Don't Say Gay Bill, but also fight for themselves. I teamed up with the president and founder of my school's National Organization for Women, or NOW Club, Maddie Zornick. She came in and she taught everyone in the club how to email their representatives. So we, as a club, emailed every House rep on the Judicial Committee, which was gonna vote on the Don't Say Gay Bill, and we sent out probably 200 plus emails that day. The Don't Say Gay Bill states classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through 3rd grade or in a manner deemed not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Nowhere in the bill is sexuality or gender identity defined, and neither is what's considered developmentally appropriate. The purposefully vague wording leaves what is and is not appropriate up to interpretation by schools, districts, and parents. The bill doesn't just affect K through 3rd. If a bigoted parent thought learning about Stonewall in the 11th grade was inappropriate, they could challenge it by filing a lawsuit against the school, teacher, and district. People always ask me why we need to learn about sexuality at such a young age, and I always argue that learning about sexuality and gender identity in those formative years would have changed my life. The self-hate, the bullying, the confusion, none of those would have been nearly as harsh as they were if I had just had a label for what I was dealing with, if I had known that there was a community of people just like me and I wasn't an anomaly. I see myself in the whole next generation of LGBTQ people in Florida, and I see that they're going to be forced to go through what I went through, and that's terrifying. Because even though I had it relatively easy, I didn't have it easy. Once I truly understood the potentially deadly effects of this now law, I decided to take it upon myself to represent kids like me all across Florida, and I made 3 trips up to Tallahassee, Florida's capital city, to protest various anti-diversity legislation, for example, the abortion ban, the critical race theory attacks, the book banning bill, and the Don't Say Gay bill. I was one of hundreds who spoke in opposition on the Senate, in front of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Every single person there talked about their experiences growing up queer, talked about statistics, talked about having friends or themselves being abused or kicked out for being themselves. We made the committee aware of the horrific mental health crisis that we're facing, but they couldn't even look me in the eyes, and they voted the bill through anyways. Bills restricting abortion, education, marginalized groups, and books were filed and passed daily, and it was frustrating to see how damaged our democracy was. The moment I got home, I called Maddie, and we organized our school's Say Gay Anyway walkout, which is what's happening in these photos. At 9 a.m. on March 7th, 3 days after my meeting with Maddie, more than 500 students walked out of our school chanting, "We say gay and trans lives matter." Kids were holding signs that said "Pride belongs here" and "Black lives matter." This was a pivotal moment for me. This was our walkout. This was a pivotal moment for me. I stood in front of a crowd of hundreds of students in the same school that had broken me down so bad that I couldn't even leave my bed during winter break. And they were there to support my community. And I got to lead this massive protest, it was beautiful. Previously neutral students became allies, and allies became advocates. Not everyone went there knowing why they were there, but everyone left knowing why they were there. And of course, there was a small group of kids who were there to be hateful. But as always, the love absolutely overwhelmed the hate. This is our power as a generation. Young people are all too often brushed off and ignored because of our age. But when we're listened to, this is what happens. We're the first generation to grow up on social media. We're the first generation to have to deal with the consequences of climate change. We're the generation that's growing up in this age of information. But we're also the generation of change. If we use our voices, our ability to organize, and our knowledge of social media, we can finally be the generation that liberates every single marginalized group. School's been different for me since then. For the first time since elementary school, I felt safe going to the bathroom. Mean comments and harassment in school have almost completely stopped. Education reduces bullying. A whole population of students learned that being queer is not a choice, and I was finally treated like a human being. And I am a human being. There's so much more to me beyond sexuality, advocacy, and gender identity. I'm a person just like everyone else, and most people have labeled me by my sexuality. Over the years, I've become accustomed to being referred to as the gay kid. When there's multiple Wills in a class, I've had both students and teachers be like, "Oh, I meant the gay Will." I'm used to, it's a regular occurrence for people to call me their gay friend, and also people always ask me why I make being gay my personality, and the answer is I don't. Society does. While being non-binary, I feel the most comfortable dressing androgynously. I dress like this because I like fashion, not because of my sexuality. I wear makeup not because I'm gay, but because I like the expression of it, because I'm an artist and I like to paint and I like to bring that look onto my face. When someone presents outside of the gender binary, society labels it as inherently gay, but it's not. I strive to live in a world where people can look past my sexuality and see me for who I am and what I do. I love fashion. Choosing an outfit every day is literally what gets me out of bed. I love to paint. I draw on literally everything that I can. I love to travel. I want to explore the world, experience every single culture, taste every taste, and hike through every national park. It is key that we remember that everyone has depth. It's crucial for us to look past what we see on social media or what we assume about people and remember that every single person has a whole life, has hobbies, has stories and trauma and family issues and a past that we may never know. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to speak in front of such incredible people as yourselves. Everyone is here because they did something exceptional. You took the brave step of meeting with or testifying in front of legislators. You organized walkouts or protests at your school or in your town. You got murals painted and brought beauty somewhere that needed it. You've educated your peers, you've educated your schools, and you've educated your communities, and the world is better for it. You have something to say, and we need to listen. But you're more than that. You're people with lives and hobbies and friends and depths outside of your activism. Most of you are changing the world on top of trying to graduate high school, waking up at 6 a.m., spending the day in a windowless box doing work, and then going home to try to change the world is hard, and I know from experience. Please remember to take care of yourselves. Take a moment to turn off your phone and your brain and be a teenager, be a person. All of this shouldn't be put on us, but it is, but we also have to take care of ourselves. So why are we here? We're here to amplify each other and learn from each other and support each other. We're here because adults are making decisions that won't affect them but will affect us. We're here because we share a common goal of making the world a better place. We're here because we care about the climate and we care about marginalized groups. We're here because we see each other and everyone else as people. We're here because we are the future. Thank you so much.